I never imagined betrayal would come with motel carpet and flickering neon lights. But that's exactly where my marriage ended. My name is James. I'm 43, an operations manager. Predictable life, predictable routines. Elizabeth and I had been married for 11 years. From the outside, we looked stable. 2 cars, a quiet neighborhood, polite smiles at dinner parties. Inside, somebody had been riding for a long time, and I kept telling myself it was just stress, just distance, just a phase. It started with small changes. Elizabeth guarded her phone like it was a classified document. She laughed less at home, but smiled more at her screen. When I asked how her day was, I got summaries instead of stories. I didn't accuse. I adjusted. Longer hours at work. Fewer questions. I told myself trust meant not interrogating the person you love. The confirmation came quietly. A receipt tucked into her coat pocket. Motel. 2 nights. Cash payment. I didn't confront her. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I waited. If this story feels familiar so far, take a second to like it so it reaches others who might be living in the same silence. I needed to know who she was when she thought no one was watching. The next week, Elizabeth said she had a conference. I helped her pack, kissed her cheek, told her to drive safe. Then I followed her. Not immediately. I waited an hour, gave her space, then drove the opposite direction and circled back. I parked across the street from the motel, listed on the receipt. I sat there longer than I expected, watching people come and go, feeling strangely calm, like the decision had already been made somewhere deep inside me. Her car pulled in just after sunset. She didn't look nervous. She looked comfortable. That hurt more than anything. I waited. I needed certainty, not suspicion. 2 hours later, I saw him. Younger than me. Confident posture. He knocked once. She opened the door, smiling. That smile settled something permanently in my chest. I left before anger could make me do something stupid. I drove home, showered, changed clothes, and came back. By then, the parking lot was quieter. I walked her car. I checked the plates. Same number I'd memorized over years of insurance renewals. I didn't damage it. I didn't touch it. I simply unlocked it with the spare key I still had, drove out a lot, and parked it 3 blocks away behind an abandoned storefront. I returned to my car and waited. I imagined her waking up calm, satisfied, unaware that the ground had shifted. I imagined confusion first, then the fear. What would you have done in my place at that moment? Drop it in the comments. I'm genuinely asking. Midnight passed. 1 a.m. The motel door opened. Elizabeth stepped out alone, adjusting her jacket, phone already in her hand. She walked to where her car had been. She stopped. She looked left, right, walked the row again. Her posture changed. Shoulders tense. Steps faster. She dialed someone. I watched her face collapse in stages. Confusion, irritation, then panic. If you've ever felt that instant where your reality cracks, type clarity in the comments. You'll understand why soon. She marched back inside. Minutes later, the younger man stormed out, arguing with her in whispers that turned sharp. He left. She stayed. I waited another 20 minutes, then drove away, not back home, but to a place where I could think. I didn't feel victorious. I felt finished. The next morning, Elizabeth called me 16 times. I didn't answer. She texted. Something weird happened. My car's gone. Can you help? No apology. No explanation. Just inconvenience. I replied once. I'm unavailable today. That was it. If this story is hitting harder than you expected, consider sharing it with someone who understands quiet betrayal better than loud fights. I went to work. I focused. I breathed. Around noon, I got a message I didn't expect. James, we need to talk. Please. I think I made a mistake. I stared at the screen and realized something important. She didn't mean the affair. She meant the consequences. That night, I finally went home. Elizabeth was there, sitting at the table, eyes red, hands shaking. The car had been found, she said. Towed. She laughed nervously, like this was all a misunderstanding. I listened. I nodded. I didn't interrupt. When she finished, I asked one question. Do you want to tell me who he is, or should I? She froze. Before we continue, comment your thoughts. Was silence my strength, or should I have spoken sooner? Because what she discovered next would change everything between us forever. Make sure you like, comment with your answer, and subscribe. Elizabeth didn't deny it. She didn't cry right away either. She just sat there, staring at the table, like the surface might open and swallow her. I waited. Silence as a way of making people confess, without pressure. Finally, she said his name. Daniel, a co-worker's cousin. Someone she met through harmless conversations that slowly became something else. She said it didn't mean anything. That line landed exactly the way you'd expect. Heavy, hollow, useless. I asked her how long. She hesitated, then said 8 months. 8 months of lies folded into ordinary days. 8 months of coming home to me and sleeping next to someone she'd already left emotionally. I nodded, not because I accepted it, but because my body had moved past reacting. I told her I knew about the motel, the receipts, the timing. Her face drained of color. That was the moment she understood this wasn't a misunderstanding. It was an ending. She asked about the car. I told her I moved it. I didn't explain why or where at first. I just said I needed her to feel lost for a moment, the way I had felt for months. She called it cruel. I agreed. Then I added that cruelty didn't start in that parking lot. It started every time she chose someone else and came home pretending nothing had changed. Elizabeth broke then. Tears, apologies, promises. She said she was confused, that she never planned for it to go that far. I told her intent doesn't undo impact. She asked if we could fix it. Counseling, space, time. I looked at her and realized I no longer cared how convincing she sounded. Something essential had shut off. I told her I wasn't angry. I was done negotiating my self-respect. I explained that the car wasn't a prank or revenge. It was a line. I needed to know if she'd panic over inconvenience or over the possibility of losing me. She panicked about the car. That answer was enough. She asked if I was leaving. I said no, not tonight, not yet. I told her I'd already spoken to a lawyer that morning. Just a consultation, just information. Her mouth opened, then closed. For the first time, she looked at me like someone she didn't recognize. That used to bother me. It didn't anymore. We slept in separate rooms. In the morning, I made coffee like always. She hovered, unsure how to act. I told her we'd sell the house, that we divide things cleanly. No theatrics, no dragging it out. She asked if I'd already decided. I said I decided the moment I watched her smile at someone else without guilt. The next few weeks were procedural, paperwork, logistics, awkward conversations with mutual friends. Elizabeth moved out first. The house felt quieter, but not lonelier. That surprised me. I found myself sleeping better, breathing deeper. Absence had been present long before she left physically. She tried once more. A long message about regret, about realizing what she'd thrown away. I didn't respond. Closure isn't something you always owe the person who caused a wound. Sometimes it's something you give yourself by walking forward without explanation. Months later, I ran into her by chance at a grocery store. She looked different. Not worse, just unsettled. We exchanged polite words. Nothing more. As I walked away, I felt no triumph, no bitterness. Just distance. The kind that keeps you whole. People think betrayal ends with discovery. It doesn't. It ends when you stop asking why it happened and start accepting what it revealed. Elizabeth didn't just cheat. She showed me who she was when she thought comfort mattered more than commitment. And I showed myself who I could be when I finally chose clarity over hope. The motel wasn't the end of my marriage. It was the proof that it had already ended. What came after was a revenge or punishment. It was release. And sometimes that's the quiet victory no one warns you about because it doesn't look dramatic. It just feels right.